Happy holidays! I might have just totally filled your heart with dread. If you are a shopper, thinking about the holidays before you're ready can be super annoying. You're like, live in the now, man. But if you are a shop owner, it is vital that you get your shop ready for the holidays right about now. Welcome to Explore Your Enthusiasm with me, Tara Swiger. Welcome to episode 282. This week, I'm going to help you make a plan for getting everything you want out of the holidays. We are going to start with setting a goal and casting a vision for what you want to create this holiday season. Then we are going to do some math very briefly. Then we're going to talk about communicating and marketing your shop this season, because this season can be your absolute most profitable season, and it can be your most peaceful season, or at the very least not be completely miserable and overwhelming. Your holiday season might be starting right now around Halloween, or it might start at American Thanksgiving, and it might go all the way through Christmas, or the last day of Hanukkah, or New Year's Eve, or it might go straight on through January 6th, the Epiphany. Whatever your holiday season is, it's important that you plan for what you want to get out of it, and I'm going to help you do that today. Side note, I wrote this whole episode before I even realized that these are the exact steps I guide you through in your whole business, not just the holiday season, but your whole business, in my free masterclass, The 4 Foundation Method. You can find that at taraswiger.com/foundations if you want to apply this to the much bigger picture of creating the business that you want. Now, let's dive in. Your first step of creating anything you want is to create a goal or cast a vision for what you want to get out of it, and that is especially true when you have so many moving parts like your holiday season. So you need to know, what do you want to get out of it? What do you want to do? When do you need to do it by? How does that all fit together with everything else going on in your life? In order to do that, we're going to get more specific. How much do you want to make in sales? How much do you want to make in profit? What activities are you going to do or do you want to do this holiday season? So this might be everything from doing a big craft show, to offering a Thanksgiving custom order, to buying a new menorah, to cutting down a Christmas tree, to having a bunch of kids over and baking cookies with them. What do you want to do, and when are you going to do it? Specifically, what deadlines do you have? Like shipping deadlines, shopping deadlines, custom order deadlines, event deadlines. Like if you have a craft show, you have to be ready for the craft show by that date. And then what other deadlines do you have? I always like to put up my Christmas tree the weekend after Thanksgiving, so it's kind of a deadline that I like to have it done by. Now, what did I not ask you about, but is very important for you to experience this holiday season? Write it down. And then most importantly of all, when you're setting a goal for your holiday, is what do you want to feel? How do you want to experience this time? Do you want to focus on light and wonder? Do you want to focus on the Christmas story or the Hanukkah story? Do you want to focus on religious traditions? Do you want to focus on family time? Do you want to focus on baked goods? That's personally my favorite part of the season. Whatever it is you want to focus on, however it is you want to feel, whatever it is the point of the whole season for you is, you want to make sure that you identify that up front. So when you look at all the things you just listed that you want to do this season, you know that it is in alignment with what matters to you about this season. And by the way, if you're like, what are all those questions she just asked, and you're scribbling, trying to write them down, you can go find them all typed out, written out at taraswiger.com/podcast282, which is where you'll find the show notes and the links to everything I mentioned. taraswiger.com/podcast282. Now the next step is to look at the actual math. We're going to break this down into calendar math, and we're going to break this down into profit math, so that you can make sure that you have time and you have allotted for it to all actually work out in the real world. So the first step is to put everything you know about on your calendar. The calendar math is pretty straightforward. Put on the dates of everything that you know you have to do on your math, and all the deadlines for the things you have to do. So if you have a craft show this week and another one this week, do you need to have the items made and labeled the week before, the day before? Do you need to have your hotel room scheduled? What do you need? What are the deadlines you need to do? Put it on a calendar. I want you to, on your big list of items that you need to do, I want you to put a star next to the things that are going to take more than an hour or two, because those things will need their allotted chunk of time. If you have a bunch of stuff on there that it's going to take 15 to 20 minutes, you can group them together into one working time. But if you have something that's going to take several hours, like say I want to bake 4 dozen cookies, that's going to take a couple hours. I need to make sure that my calendar has a space for me to do that. Or I want to put up my Christmas tree. but I'm going to be out of town when I usually do it. So where's a chunk of time that I will get it done by the deadline that I want to have it done? Now you have to switch from calendar math to profit math. Then we'll come back to your calendar. Look at that sales goal you set, how much money you want to make this holiday season. You can look at it either for 1 month, like what do you want to make in November and what you want to make in December, or you can put both months together, depending on how your business works. So how much money do you want to make? Now, the really important thing for you to figure out is, with your overhead and the amount of profit you make on each item, how many items do you need to sell in order to make what you want to make? So we're going to take your money goal and translate it into an item goal. So once you have that number, you know how many things you need to sell this season to hit the goal you want to hit. For a lot of you, that will be the first time you've ever done this math, and this math is exactly what I talk about in my Foundations Masterclass. If you don't know your overhead and your profit margin for item, please go sign up. These are such important foundations for you to reach any goal in your business. Go sign up for that at tarasweiger.com/foundations. This will be important for anything you do. So I cannot believe how many shops come to me and want to make $1,000 a month, but they only have $500 worth of items in their shop. Well, they're never going to hit that goal unless they have more stuff in their shop. And they say, well, I'm going to wait till it sells. No, for a lot of us, your shop isn't going to sell until you have some more stuff in it. Now, if you're a designer or you sell your services, you can still absolutely do this math. It's going to look a little different, but you're going to see how many things you have available for people to buy. How many of them would you need to sell in order to hit your goal? Now, you can skip right ahead to talking about marketing because you're not going to have to do any production. If you sell an item that you produce, now you know the item that you need to have available to sell. So now you know how many things you need to make, because the key to making enough money, hitting your money goal, is to have enough items. And if you're a maker, that means you need to produce enough items. So this is where we come back to the calendar. How much stuff do you need to make and by when in order to hit your goals? So how many things are you going to take to that craft show? How many things do you want to have by Black Friday or by Cyber Monday? I strongly suggest that you have your shop all stocked up by American Thanksgiving so that you can spend the rest of the time shipping orders, helping customers, marketing, and just enjoying your holiday season. You do not want the month of December crammed with you trying to produce your product and make holiday gifts and attend holiday shows and send out Christmas cards or whatever kind of cards you send out. You just don't want to add that to your schedule. If you can move all your production up to like right now and kind of get it done by American Thanksgiving, you're going to have a more enjoyable holiday season. A marketing tip: as you're working on producing your stuff, that doesn't mean you're not marketing. In fact, this is prime time for you to take pictures of your studio, of your making process, of your pile of things ready to ship. This is a time that you're going to be taking your product photos to get them in your shop, or you're going to be taking seasonal themed photos of you making under your holiday quilt. This is the time for you to take a lot of photos that you'll be using throughout the whole holiday season, be snapping photos and thinking of captions as you're actually in the middle of producing. Back to the calendar. For you to have the amount of items you need to have by the deadline, when are you going to make them? I'm talking about breaking it down really specifically day by day. What days do you have available for production? You need to total those all up. Look at the amount of things you need to produce, divide the amount of things you need to produce by your total amount of production, and that is how many things you need to make on a production day. By the way, make sure you're taking time for labeling and photographing and whatever else you have to do to your item before you sell it. Make sure you've got that built in. So once you have your production days, you need to set a realistic production calendar, what you're going to make when. If you figure all this out now, and if you never figured this out before now, you are going to find this takes so much stress off the day-to-day. You just wake up on a production day and say, okay, I know I need to make 10 hats and 20 blankets. That would actually be really hard to make in a day, but let's sit down and do it. I know I need to make 100 placemats today and 4 packs of napkins, so I'm going to sit down at my sewing machine and get it going. Or maybe you break it up like today is a cutting day and I'm going to cut up stuff for 100 napkins so tomorrow I can sew 100 napkins. However it works for you, if you have those numbers in mind, you can actually batch it so that you're more productive than you would be if you were just doing one at a time all the way through. And when you look at your calendar and you set up production days, you will also be sure that you actually have those days available for production. So if your kids are off of school on a day and you know that they're counting on you to take them to the Nutcracker, that's probably not a production day. If you want to make sure you have a day set aside to make cookies, that's not a production day unless you produce cookies. By really looking at production days you have, once you have everything else on the calendar, you'll figure out, A, is your goal even realistic? And B, what will you need to do in order to make it happen? Because there's nothing so sad as getting to the last week of December, realize you didn't hit your holiday season goals at all because you didn't figure out when you were going to do it. The key to reaching your goal is to figure out when you're going to complete your goal. After you have figured out your calendar, the next step is to communicate. To have a good holiday season, to hit your holiday goals, you have to communicate with your family, with your customers, and to communicate honestly with yourself about what you're doing and when you're going to do it. So before we jump into business communication, we need to talk about personal communication. You will need to communicate with your loved ones what your expectations are, what their expectations are, what do they want to do together, what do you want to do together, what are you letting go of this holiday season? Because as a reminder, you have total permission to let go of any holiday traditions that do not serve you, and you can adopt any holiday traditions you want. But this process will be much easier if you communicate with the people that it impacts and you let them know what you're doing. Also, you want to communicate what support and help you need. If you have a period of time that you need to go heavily into production mode, let your partner and your family and your friends know. Let them know how they can support you or encourage you during this time. If you need to be labeling while you watch Elf with your kids, let your kids know. And if their fingers aren't all sticky from cookies, let them help you. But communicate to people what you're doing and why you're doing it and what you're going for. If you share your big goals with those that are close to you and you show them your production calendar, they will be able to get behind you and support you and help you reach those goals. Or if you try to do it without talking to anybody and yet still fulfilling everybody's expectations of you, you'll feel crazy and you won't have as much fun as you could have, and you won't have as many opportunities to do things together as you would have. Of course, this applies to your business too. It can be a real struggle to stay consistent with your marketing while you're in a heavy production, shipping, selling time. But if you want increased sales, this is a time where you need to show up consistently so your people remember to order from you. They remember that they could come to you for their holiday needs. So how do you balance out this busy season and this staying consistent? You make a plan. Spend early November deciding what you're going to say, when you're going to say it, and writing it all out. Get it scheduled, your Instagram captions, your emails, your blog posts, your podcast episodes, however you communicate with your people, decide what you're going to say, and then actually do some of it ahead of time so that it's easier to stay consistent when you're in the middle of something else. And by the way, this applies all year round. If you have shows coming up that you're going to do, as soon as you decide you're doing the show, you can plan your marketing message around the show and what will happen while you're getting ready for the show and while you're at the show. So this is why we already worked on the calendar. You need to know your deadlines and you need to know your shipping deadlines. This is one of the most important things you're going to need to communicate in this season. When is the last chance somebody has to buy something from you? Right now, I want you to schedule ahead your shipping or your custom order deadlines, schedule them, but then also schedule the messages around them. And if you're not sure what messages to send, I'll just tell you what I think you should do. At the very least, 2 weeks before, tell them you have 2 weeks left to order and get it shipped by Christmas or by Hanukkah, whatever that date is for you and your people, or have both dates. I think this year Hanukkah goes over Christmas, so you can just pick a date that is your last day to ship it in order for them to get it in time to give as a gift. Do that 2 weeks out, do that 1 week out, 1 week left, do it 2 days out, 2 days left, and do it on the last day. This is the last day to order in order to get your thing by December 24th. You might want to make that the last day that they can get it by December 23rd or by the day before the first day of Hanukkah. Figure that out for your shipping service and then communicate that. I would do 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 days, and then last day at the very least, but you can do far more than that. And when I say communicate it, I don't just mean do a post on Facebook, because as you know, a super small percentage of your people are seeing that. Send an email about it. Send an email about the deadlines and regularly repeat it, and on the last day send an email, do an Instagram post, do a Facebook post, make sure your people know this is the last chance. Now remember, if you make your items like custom ordered, then your date is going to be way sooner. You're going to need to start talking about that before people are even really thinking about it so that they make sure and get it in time, and they make sure and order in time. And with those ordering deadlines, you're not just using whatever FedEx tells you, you're also using your own production ability. Can you have it out the door by then? What is the date you need to know so that you can make enough to have it out the door on time. Don't make yourself crazy. Look at your production calendar and figure out a realistic deadline for you. So once you've got your shipping and ordering deadline messages scheduled, the next step is look at what other messages you need to schedule around deadlines. So are you doing any big holiday craft shows or small holiday craft shows or church bazaars or bake sales? Schedule your messages around that. Are you doing a Black Friday deal or a Cyber Monday deal or a small business Saturday? Schedule your messages around that. And then what else could you share during this holiday season as it pertains to your business or as it pertains to yourself as a business person? So do you use your item that you sell in a specific way during the holiday season? Do people give it as gifts? Can you take pictures and create content around that with it under the tree or in a big pile next to the menorah? How does your thing fit into the holidays? Schedule messages around that. Do you want to share your own holiday traditions? Is you and your family, is that part of your brand? Then share your own holiday traditions. Schedule messages around that. Do you want to talk about your feelings around the holiday? Maybe the people you serve are suffering loss or they're grieving and you want to talk about that grieving during the holiday season. Do you have weekly content? Make sure that in your messaging you have time to remind people to go to your blog post for that week. Obviously, if you do something that's very holiday centric, like you make ornaments, like I have a former Starship captain who makes Christmas tree ornaments, a lot of her messages are going to be around that. Even if you do something that's not holiday related at all, like you're selling your shawl knitting design, you can think about how people will wear their shawl during the season. Take pictures about it, write about it, and make sure you also are sending people back to your blog post. Now, I know this sounds like a lot, but don't get overwhelmed. You have to do this work anyhow, every week in your business. We're just looking at doing it a little bit ahead so that as things start to get crazy and you have more and more going on in your personal life, your business doesn't suffer. And in fact, it thrives during this time when people are spending more money on shopping than ever before. So take a deep breath. The first step is just to identify what you want to post. The next step is to actually gather up what you're going to post, the images and the written words. The final step is to actually schedule it. You can use a tool like Later for Instagram and Facebook, or Buffer, or you can use your email software and schedule emails ahead of time, or your blog or YouTube to get things created and scheduled. Now, to be honest, I plan my content a month or two in advance, but I create it, I gather the images and video and written words probably a week or two in advance, and then I actually schedule it usually just the week before, or the week of even. Now that I have toddlers in my life and I have more chaos in my life in general, I'm trying to get more and more ahead on that process. So I'm pretty much only ever going to plan out content a month or two in advance, but I'm creating it more than a couple weeks and I'm scheduling it a couple weeks out because craziness comes up. I have a week like this week where Little Bit comes down with a double ear infection and stays home with me and I can't work during the day. Having things scheduled and planned ahead of time means that my business keeps rolling even when that happens. As you know, we're entering winter, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, and we're entering a season of kids being out of school a lot, family travel coming up a lot, people having expectations of being out of your house maybe more than you are during what is one of your most busy seasons. So having this marketing communication scheduled can really make sure that things keep rolling even when you're not online to keep them rolling. Let's recap what we talked about today. You're going to get your shop ready for the holidays by creating a goal and casting a vision of what you want first, and then doing the math and putting it on the calendar and the schedule so that you know you actually can reach that goal and vision, that you have it all so that it fits together, the puzzle fits together. And then the final step is you're going to communicate your needs, desires, expectations to those around you and to your customers so that they can make the choice to buy your thing early and often. You're going to plan, you're going to schedule, do some math, and you're going to communicate. As a reminder, you can get all of the questions I asked in this episode. You can use it as a kind of worksheet. If you go to tarasweiger.com/podcast282, you can make sure you answer all these questions and create a gorgeous plan for a super profitable holiday season. I would love to see your plan for the holidays, and I really want to hear about what do you want to get out of this holiday season? What are you looking to create in your business this holidays and create in your life this holiday season? Let me know over on Instagram. I'm at tarasweiger. Send me a direct message and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening. I wish you a profitable and peaceful week and beginning of the holidays.